Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I want to give a little update on some of the trees I have repotted in the last couple of weeks and months and simply show you how they're doing right now. It will be a lot of different varieties, it will be a lot of different stages and also a lot of different health stages, I would say, of trees, but simply to give you an idea what to expect, especially if you repot trees within late summer, early autumn, so already at the end of growth season or when growth season has ended, and what you can expect from indoor bonsai when you do that. And I would start with this Ficus Ginseng constellation that I've created also in autumn now. This one is doing extremely well. It actually consists of 3 separate trees. This one I had in my collection beforehand already. Those 2 I actually bought to turn them into this constellation or be part of this constellation. And they are doing very, very well. So I don't see any sort of health problem up to this point of them. They all, of course, had a root system that we incorporated into this constellation, into this new pot. So we didn't really cut back much of the roots, only some slight, more aesthetic pruning, I would say. The rest we really kept on. And I think that already is one of the main reasons why this tree is still going so strong, or those 3 trees are going so strong, because we kept most of the root system on them when we repotted it. But as I said, indoor bonsai, normally you can repot all year around because you do keep them anyway in more stable environments where they don't really react that harshly to the changes in the season. It might take a little bit longer for them to bounce back in winter, especially if you keep them in a rather cool place, but normally when you keep them in a nice warm place where they also get a lot of sunshine or another light source, then they will definitely be quite happy there. So first tree, I would definitely say, until now, no signs of any health problems due to the repotting. So really, really going well all to this point. And of course, in next growth season, we will see then how we best refine this constellation and really make it look the most appealing as it can be, especially working here a little bit on this tree. This one is growing already a bit wild, but then simply seeing in which direction we will take it. But in general, I'm very happy with this constellation and that it is doing so well, also health-wise at the moment. But let's move on to another project that's also still doing very, very well. And that project is my lemon cypress that I have repotted a couple of weeks ago. Also still going strong, seems to have also adapted nicely to the new pot it is in right now. One of the things that was a bit different when we repotted this one is that we didn't remove all of the soil it came in, because a lemon cypress, it has very, very fine roots. I didn't want to damage them by simply taking off all of the soil. So we did keep some of the initial soil within the pot and then simply covered it and surrounded it by this inorganic soil mixture. And until now it has done very, very well. What I do especially take care of when it comes to this tree is to keep it on the moist side. So right now, as you can see, this is already the point where I need to rewater again, because I can see the top layer here has dried completely. So it is time to really, really go in there and water it thoroughly again. But until now, it definitely has kept its shape and its health. You can normally see this with lemon cypress because they do dry up when they get too dry actually. So you will see it right away that the tips start to get dry and brittle. You would easily break them, so you wouldn't be able to bend them like this any longer. They will simply break off. But these ones are still very much malleable. They seem very healthy. They feel very healthy. And the big goal, of course, right now, the big challenge is to get this through winter in a healthy way. They do, at least they say they can survive indoors. I do know, however, that they can struggle quite a bit indoors. I had one lemon cypress before that unfortunately didn't make it through one of the winters. So I will keep an eye on this and read up more on it if it is better to keep it outside in winters, if it can survive outside in winters, especially in the climate I am at, or if I can give it the environment it needs indoors and we can still have it in a healthy way also throughout the winter then. But yeah, that is the big challenge for this tree right now. But what I will do, of course, is making sure I keep the soil moist so it never dries out. That already, I think, gives this tree a good starting point to actually bring it through winter. But I will keep you updated on this. And hopefully next year we also start to work then a little bit on it and see in what shape we can take this tree actually. I do like the shape it is right now, but maybe we can adjust it a little bit and create something interesting out of this. But we will see that after winter. All right, this already brings me to another tree which actually has not been doing so well, and I thought I'd also show you that because not every tree is always the healthiest right away after repotting. And one of the problems or the problematic trees I had this year was this little Portulacaria Afra that I separated from another tree that was also within the same pot and then potted up in two separate pots. And unfortunately, over the course of 2 months, it lost most of its growth, most of its branches also. So a lot of the branches actually broke off. But for the last week now, I finally see the first signs that this tree is starting to rebound. And I think it's quite easy to spot right away. It is mainly the new growth that has started to develop here. So that gives me hope that there's still some vigor and some health left in this tree and we can actually turn it around. But for a moment I really thought this is a lost cause. It was basically down to this little branch right here with 2 leaves, but quite happy to see that some new growth is starting to show now. But there is a lot of basically dead parts here on it still. So you can see a lot of the branches simply have died back. There was a big canopy actually up here that has completely vanished. And I think the problem was the shock of being in a new pot, and I think I didn't wait long enough to start to water it, and that was part of the problem then. Yeah, what I often have experienced right now already with Portulacaria Afra, if you repot them, you should leave them basically alone for almost 2 weeks or something like that. They will go wrinkly very fast and very wrinkly actually. But it's sort of a shock state that they are often in then, and the roots, if you water them, then cannot simply take on the water. And I think this might have sat in water then for too long, and that has damaged some of the roots. That could be the problem behind it, because it looked more like a root rot problem or an overwatering problem than an underwatering problem, because with underwatering it wouldn't have got rid of so many branches so fast, I would say. But I think we have turned the tide on this tree right now. I'm very careful in how I take care of this. This also means basically I'm leaving it alone for most of the time right now, because I don't want to stress this tree again by just putting too much water into its system and having to deal with that. So right now I will wait at least another week, I would say, until I see that these new leaves start to get a bit wrinkly or something. Then I would go in and water it. But up until that point, I simply keep an eye on it, see really if there's any changes in the course it takes, and if it is that case, then of course I would take action. But for now I think it has stabilized. And this already brings me to the last tree for today, which is this Ficus Benjamina. The goal is to create a nice trunk on these actually 3 separate trees by fusing them together, so that's why they are tightly bound right now, and hopefully over the next 1 or 2 growth seasons we will start fusion happening here down here at the trunk. I wanted also to show this tree because also when I repotted this one, I removed all the soil from the root system. I made sure to keep the root system extremely well covered in wet towels so they don't dry out while repotting. And I think this has definitely paid off. So the tree has not had any health issues since we repotted it. You can see some dead leaves down here. This is mainly because we trapped the branches within here. So of course, there's some dieback really here at the bottom of the tree. But other than that, I see a lot of new growth actually going on many of the leaves and of the branches. Here, for example, a new leaf developing right now. Very healthy looking tree that is doing, surprisingly well. Often in my previous experience when it comes to repotting ficus, they also are a bit more finicky sometimes when you repot them. But I think the main reason was that when you don't keep the roots moist throughout the repotting process, that is the main problem you will experience on a ficus. If the roots dry out, and if they simply dry out this one time when you repot them, it's basically over because those roots are no longer viable then. So if you don't pay attention there, you can lose most of the root mass if you repot in a way that lets them dry out too much. So I would always say when you remove the soil, and we really remove all of the soil, make sure to wrap them in wet paper towels, for example, so they really stay moist and stay alive and viable. And then when you repot, of course, give it a good soak right away. Really soak those roots to, again, make sure they stay moist. And keep it a bit on on a more moist side for the beginning when you take care of it, and then gradually they will become adapted to the pot and to your watering regimen anyway again. And then you have a healthy looking tree that you probably wouldn't even have expected that this has been repotted, not even, I think, 3 weeks ago or so. So it is very fresh still on this tree, but you don't see any signs of problems that have come from this repotting. So definitely proof that it can be done. You can repot indoor trees or indoor bonsai also in fall. That is not a problem. As I said, it is all about the environment you keep it in, about the caution you take when you repot, and then you can still have healthy trees and repot them also throughout the year. But of course, if you want to be on the safe side and wait till the end of winter, the beginning of spring to repot, when the tree is simply in a lot of energy and has a lot of energy inside of it. But normally when you have a healthy tree and you repot it also outside of that season, it shouldn't be a problem. When we talk about repotting sick trees, of course, that is a different problem then. If it's due to problems within the soil, of course you would need to repot, but if there's other reasons that it's sick and then you repot it as well, that could be too much for the tree then. So really always look at the unique tree and if there is a chance to repot, and if there's a need to repot also, so also keep that in mind. But then you will have also a nicely healthy looking new tree in its new pot, doing way better than it did before. And of course also moving along on its road to becoming a nice looking bonsai. If you have any questions about any of these trees I showed you today, feel free to leave them in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to leave a like, and if you enjoy my channel, feel free to subscribe to it. Hopefully I will see you in the next video then. Until then, take care.